no sense of talking about the Washington Redskins or the Lancaster Redskins or the, you know, get ready to go on the Trail of Tears 2, you know, Indians, you. Don't have that conversation if you're not going to talk about what's wrong with it. What's wrong with it is the racism, the fact that we're treated as if we're not here. And that American policy supports that. Frankly, I like the idea that I can go to Washington and give hell to Jody Gillette or Barack Obama or anybody else and say, you know what? Your policies are so skewed in this country. Your view of us is so marginalizing that the name of your football team is a derogatory word for us. You know, I like having that there. Keep it there. Keep calling us Redskins. But you know what? If you're going to use a racist name, don't get offended when I call you a racist. I mean, the crazy part is you get these white people who get pissed off because you call them a racist because they're doing something that's racist. They're more offended by us referring to the word Redskins as a racist term than we are offended by the racist term itself. Honestly, I mean, and if you followed any of the debate on the Lancaster Redskins, these guys were, oh, that's our tradition. We've been the Redskins for 60 years. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you? I mean, that's the mentality. That's the stuff that is said. You know, but the point is, that's why we can have federal agents come onto our territory, because we're treated with such disregard. I mean, there is back in '97 when the state police, and let's be clear, there wasn't tire fires lit on the thruway that caused the problem. Though most of the fires, anything that happened on the thruway happened after the state police had beat up even women on Cattaraugus. In Onondaga, there was 90 people, over 90, about 100 people that were at they had set up a fire along 81 in '97. Part of what they were protesting wasn't just what the state was doing, but Onondaga was trying to take over the tobacco trade. They had already made a deal with the state. So the Onondagas were also opposed to what the Onondaga people were opposed to what the Onondaga chiefs were doing. A bunch of people were there. Ross John, his wife was there. There was a bunch of people from here that were there. People from all over. Esther Sundown from Tonawanda was there. You know Esther. Murray Peters was there. I mean, some of these are very respected people all over, right? There was, there were people women in their 80s that were there, and there were pregnant girls there. I mean, this was a family. This wasn't a protest. This was a tobacco burning. They're doing a bit of a ceremony. All of a sudden, and some of the guys did go over close to 81, and there was construction going on, so the traffic was like crawling through there. So there were people that were handing out pamphlets. Then all of a sudden, there was no more traffic. People went up there, and look, and there's nothing. All of a sudden, there's nothing. They looked up the northbound lane, and there were state troopers coming down. So they showed up, all in riot gear, and they beat the crap out of everybody. And they arrested like 40 people. Stefan Mahailu, who is the Erie County Comptroller, he was a bit of a radio news person here. He's a Republican newscaster. He is the Erie County Comptroller. He was the reporter there that day in Onondaga, and he got pushed around. His cameraman got knocked around too, and so he was there. I talked to him about it one time when I was doing Two Sides, and so that issue happened 17 years ago. Today, the state is still trying to settle. Those charges all got dropped, and the people sued. And there's 93 people that sued the state of New York. The state of New York started to pay them off with $3 million. Even Ross and Holly, they're offered like $8 grand apiece for having their civil rights violated. Paul Delarone and some of the guys who were arrested, they got offered anywhere from $40,000 to $60,000 for being falsely arrested. And the people who were beaten got offered anywhere from $60,000 to $200,000 based on the severity of the assault that they went through. The problem is, those people who weren't suing for money. They were suing for information. They were suing for damages. But they also wanted to know how the protocol was established, who called them in, because they know some of the Onondaga chiefs were involved. So they wanted names named, and they said, well, we're not going to name names. Well, why not? Why don't you establish what the protocol was? That's essentially your defense, and so they won't do that. So none of those 93 are willing to sign off, and some of those people could really use the money. So none of those people will sign off on it until, and so they had a meeting just 2 weeks ago, in Syracuse. They almost, not all 93 are still alive even, but most of them were there. And the judge, who was a judge originally, now he's serving as an arbitrator, and the lawyers were scolding all the Native people, saying, "What's the matter with you people? This is the best deal you're going to get. You're not going to get justice in our system." It's the judge and the lawyers are saying you're not going to get justice. What are you calling this then? What are you calling this? Is no, take the money. And of course, taking the money, they also wanted you to sign a non-disclosure that you won't talk about it.
Right.
And you won't ever sue anybody again over this issue, if the name should ever come up. So they want to buy their silence for $3 million. The irony is, again, this is going on from 1997, and the state's admitting fault because they're trying to pay him off, but they want a non-disclosure on the issue, and again the people want names. They don't want. It's not just about trying to crucify a couple of Onondaga chiefs. This is about the protocol established by the state police, and if it did go all the way up to George Pataki at the time, they want that. They want to establish who at some point said it was okay to beat our people when there was nothing. They weren't doing anything violent. There was no blocking of the throughway, the highway, or nothing like that. So that's what's not being established here. And I think, and Ross was at this meeting, and Ross is pretty outspoken in Seneca territory, but even there in Onondaga, when they are in Syracuse, I should say, when this meeting, he stood up and he gave the lawyers who were essentially scolding the Native people there, said, "What the hell's the matter with you people? You're telling us that your system doesn't work for us. Then stop trying to force us in the system all the time." And he says, "You know what? But you know what? If we do have to go to trial, and we don't care if we lose or not. That's not the point. The point is that you guys did something wrong to us." And they even got some of the officers to finally admit, like several years later, that the reason they didn't have name tags on was because they were trying to avoid personal liability. They were told to take the name tag. At first, the story was, well, we took them off because those name tags are sharp. Then there's like a pin, somebody could have got poked by it. They literally tried to say that, right? No, they honestly did. Then finally they got them to admit that no, it was about personal liability.
Guy who beat Nate up didn't have his name tag on.
Yeah, of course not. But I mean, but again, you know, this is why the conversation has to happen, and you know that's why.